Signs he wants to break up. In this video, we're going to talk about how to know if your man is thinking about breaking up with you and what to do to fix it. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. So sometimes the fear of something happening is worse than the thing actually happening. Like the fear and the stress that he's going to break up with you, that maybe he's losing interest in you, can honestly be even worse than if he just broke up with you. It's the anticipation of what might happen that can drive you absolutely insane. And the worry can sometimes cause the inevitable. You're so stressed and so anxious and worried, and the guy may have been thinking about breaking up with you, but now things just feel so off and so terrible, like now he's sure this is what pushed him over the edge. And maybe that wouldn't have been the case if you didn't let your fears and your anxiety get the best of you. So I'm gonna help you get out of your head and see exactly what's going on. We're gonna talk about the concrete signs that a guy probably is gearing up to break up with you, or at least considering it, and the things that you can do to turn things around. So make sure you watch this video until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please tap that like button. It's such a quick, such an easy way to help me out and help me grow my channel. And I will give you a second to do that right now. Okay. Thanks for that. And also be sure to subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we post new videos, and also make sure to follow me on Instagram at A New Mode. Also, if your guy has already broken up with you, or even if you are in the stages where you feel like the relationship is falling apart, then you should definitely check out our X-Back system. It was created by me and my co-founder of A New Mode, Eric Charles, and it's basically the ultimate guide to getting your ex back. And not only that, it's to making the relationship work the second time around, because who cares if you get him back if you're just going to break up again and then get back together and then break up again. Like, you don't want to be that kind of couple. So it basically covers every single thing you need to know. And even if you are broken up and you don't necessarily want to get him back, you just want to move on, or maybe you want to move on and want to leave the door open to get him back, this will help you out and will give you some really valuable tips. So you can download that right now or when you're done with this video at easyxback.com. Okay, let's get into it and talk about the signs that he is thinking about breaking up with you. Number one, he avoids talking about the future. Now, we have to look at a few things here. The first is what kind of relationship you have. I mean, if you're in the very early stages of dating, okay, that might not be such a big deal. But if you're in a more established relationship, and if you guys used to talk about the future and used to make future plans, and now all of a sudden that's stopped, if all of a sudden he's very evasive whenever you talk about the future, he's very dodgy, that's pretty much a bad sign. I mean, pretty much clearly indicates he doesn't necessarily see you as being a part of his future. It could be that he's just not ready to be in a serious relationship with anyone right now. It's just a pretty bad sign if he seems very scattered and unclear when it comes to the future. The most important thing for a healthy relationship is that you're on the same page and you're moving in the same direction. Where so many people go wrong is that they have their wants and their expectations, and maybe the other person doesn't feel the same way. First person just sticks around hoping that that person will change their mind and somehow they'll meet in the middle. That's really not a good foundation for a relationship. You have to start out at least with a shared vision of where you want things to go. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste your time and end up with your heart broken. Number two, he doesn't seem to want to fix things. This is another really important thing to realize about relationships. I feel like a lot of women carry the entire burden of the relationship on their backs. They feel like if there's a problem, they're the ones that need to fix it. They need to back their guy into a corner, force him to sit down, like hash it out, talk about it. She feels like she needs to do all the work. And she feels like if the relationship is failing, it's because she's a failure. She was doing something wrong. She wasn't trying hard enough. She didn't find the right solution. This is why, channels like this, websites like mine, newmode.com, why so many channels and websites like that exist, why so many relationship books are written for women. People ask me all the time, they're like, why don't you write this content for men? And I'm like, because I would have no audience. I'd be speaking to an empty room. You know, maybe some men would be interested, but not a lot. It's women who are interested, because women want to know how to fix things, how to change. And that's fine. I mean, that is within the realm of the nature of a woman to really nurture and actualize that relationship. But at the same time, you can't be doing all the work alone. Just because men aren't, watching the relationship videos on YouTube per se. I mean, not all men. There actually are some men that watch my videos, but way more women than men. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, he still should be putting in some work. And when a guy truly cares about you, is serious about you, sees a future with you, he will also be in it. He will be working on things. He will want to make it work. If a guy kind of sees the relationship as not being, one that's meant to last, if he is thinking about leaving the relationship, he's just going to stop trying. He's going to save his energy because that's what human nature does. I mean, that's what we do. We conserve our energy for things that are worth spending it on. He's not going to put all this energy into something that he knows isn't going to work out in the end. So if you're the only one that seems to care about fixing your problems, it's a pretty bad sign. Number 3, he seems on edge. Look, I mean, things happen in life. He could be stressed. He could have a lot going on at work. He could be dealing with a lot emotionally. But if that's not what's at play here, if it just seems like, if he's like fine in every other setting, he's fine at work, he's fine with his friends, he's fine with his family, it's only around you that he seems kind of edgy, that's a bad sign. I mean, that sometimes men are just awkward with their emotions and can't come right out and say how it is they're feeling, but you'll notice it in his body language and the way he is around you. If he seems like skittish and he's just not himself, you don't feel that warmth anymore, then it's a sign that something is a little bit off here. Number 4, he's nitpicking. All of a sudden, everything that you do bothers him. The way you put things away in the fridge, the way you chew, he's just constantly irritated by you and constantly picking at you. He may start picking fights all of a sudden, like out of nowhere. It's pretty clear what he's doing when this happens. He's almost like trying to make you break up with him so that he doesn't have to be the bad guy that hurts you. Also, I just want to say, like, that might not be an intentional decision on his part. Like, it's not like he's like, okay, I'm just going to drive this woman to the brink of madness so she breaks up with me. It could just be that his, like, all of his emotions are just in a very frustrated place, or just in this uncomfortable place, or in this place of just wanting things to be done. So that's why he's kind of just over you, I mean, for lack of a better word. Number 5, you can't seem to communicate anymore. It's possible that he has a wall up and nothing you say is getting through anymore. This is another thing about guys. Like, they can compartmentalize things really well. So if he decides that he's done, he could just be done. And all those warm, fuzzy feelings he once had, it's not like they don't exist anymore, but he can kind of like put them in a box and put that to the side. So it's possible that he may have already started this, even if you guys aren't officially broken up yet. It could also be that sometimes trivial topics just spiral into massive arguments, and you're just like, whoa, like, where did that even come from? You end up feeling very isolated and lonely because you can't communicate with your partner. And going back to the previous point, it seems like he doesn't even want to try. He doesn't really seem to have an interest in fixing anything here. It's a very slippery slope because the longer you go without honest communication, the more resentment will build and the harder it will be to repair things. Him being unable or unwilling to communicate with you could just be his way of trying to gain some distance because he is thinking about ending the relationship. Number 6, you're not a priority at all. All of a sudden, you're coming in last and he has no time for you anymore. Now, look, this can happen on occasion. You are not going to be a man's number 1 priority every single day, 24 hours a day. It's just not possible and it's unrealistic. But if you are never the priority anymore, if things are always more important than you, he's just kind of showing you through his actions how he feels about you and how he feels about the relationship. And how he feels is that it's just not a priority to him. It's not really something he wants to give into anymore. And I know it's like, why doesn't he just break up with me then? Like, because it's hard. That's a hard thing to do. It's hard to summon the strength to just end something, especially if you guys have been together for a long time, especially if you have so much history. And going back to something I talk about a lot in my ex back videos, I have a whole playlist on how to get your ex back. So if that's the space you're in, you should check that out. But no one is ever 100% sure of their decisions. You could be 90% sure, you could be 98% sure, but there's still that 2% of unsure. And the unsure sometimes can just leave us lingering in something. If we know with most of our being, this is not the right thing, this is not the right thing for me, there still is that little doubt. And sometimes you just want that doubt to go away. You want to be 100% sure. So you stay and you're like, well, maybe something will happen that will give me some more clarity. So that's why he could be acting that way and, you know, not prioritizing you, shutting you out, shutting down, but not just ending it already. Number 7, you just feel something is off. Don't discount your most powerful asset. And your most powerful asset is your women's intuition. It's really amazing to me. Like, I always talk about this with Eric. Whenever people come to me and ask questions about their relationships, like, the majority of the time, they already know the answer. They just wish they didn't know the answer. They're just kind of hoping they're wrong. And that's why they come to me and they're like, hey, well, maybe there's a chance I'm wrong. But they're not wrong. Deep down, you always know the truth. If you feel like he wants to break up with you, if you feel like he's not in this relationship anymore, he's not invested, then you're probably right. Number 8, you want different things. And after this point, we're gonna get into how to fix things. So don't worry. And I know you're probably feeling depressed by this point in the video, but don't worry, I'm gonna tell you how to turn it all around. As much as we'd like to pretend that this isn't a giant component of a relationship, as much as we'd like to believe that all you need is love and love will find a way and love conquers all, that's not true. You have to want the same things in life. And here's a big difference I see with men and women. It's that women will stick around in something even though like intellectually, they know this probably isn't gonna last. We don't want the same things. But a woman thinks it's okay. Like, we'll make it through. We'll work it out. We'll figure something out. Whereas most men could be a lot more objective. They could see that, you know, it's very clear this woman wants to be married and having kids within the next year. And I am not, that's not where I'm at. Or he could see, you know, like we are just fundamentally incompatible. We have different political views. We have different religious beliefs. We just have different values that we want to instill in our kids. So this just wouldn't work. Like, guys can see things. Most guys, again, when I say, I mean most guys, most women. I don't mean every guy and every woman. So just don't come for me with that. But most can see things a little bit more objectively. Women are fixers. We're nurturers. We're the actualizers. So a woman might see the potential in a situation and just stick with it, even though she knows that it's probably not going to work out. In the beginning, it's very easy to overlook these things because there's so much chemistry and it's just so exciting. And the beginning of a relationship is always just so fresh and so fun and so invigorating. But as things deepen and as you're at a point where, you know, maybe this is something real, maybe there could be a future here, you have to see things from a more realistic lens. And if you step back and you look at things objectively, that you and him have some very big fundamental differences to overcome, and all of a sudden he's acting a little sketchy and he's checking some of the boxes that I've listed so far in this video, then it's a sign he probably is considering breaking up with you because there are just too many hurdles to overcome. Sometimes these differences can be resolved, but it takes two people working at it together and meeting in the middle. And if he just doesn't want to do that, then there's nothing else you can really do. Okay, so you've realized that this guy is thinking about breaking up with you. So what now? How can you turn things around? How can you salvage it? Number 1, back off. Sometimes you just have to give someone a whopping dose of what they think they want to make them realize they don't want it. He's thinking about breaking up with you. Do not smother him with showing him what an amazing girlfriend you are. And all of a sudden you're doing all this stuff for him and you're cooking for him and you're like being the most amazing, well-behaved, perfect little girlfriend in the entire world. Don't do that. He's acting a little off with you. Back off. That might cause him to reassess everything. Because once you're a little bit out of his reach, he might realize, okay, maybe I was being a little too hard on her. Maybe things could work out. Maybe I was wrong about this. You know, sometimes you just need to give somebody room to breathe. Number 2, get back to who you were in the beginning. Take a look at your life right now and how you behave, who you hang out with, what you do. How much have you changed from the beginning of your relationship? What were you like in the beginning? Maybe you were a woman full of passions and interests and you would spend time with friends and spend time volunteering and you just had a lot going on in your life and now you really have nothing going on in your life aside from hanging out with him. Take a look at who you were, like who that woman was that he fell in love with, that who he fell for in the beginning, and try to get back to that. It's not your fault. I mean, this can happen to all of us in relationships. We just get complacent and we just allow things to fall by the wayside. And it's because before you're in a relationship, you kind of have so many different things filling you up, filling that void. And when you're in a relationship, that fills up a lot in you. So you kind of don't feel as motivated to pursue those other things. Number 3, talk about it. Relationships are about communication. I know I mentioned earlier one of the signs he wants to break up with you is that he can't communicate with you anymore. So you're gonna have to try. You're gonna have to try to sit down and express how you're feeling from an open and vulnerable place, not from a place of shaming and accusing and saying to him like, you know, why are you being so distant with me and what's wrong with you and why are you treating me like this and I don't deserve it. Give it a try. If you are coming against a brick wall, then there's not much you can do. Number 4, figure out where you stand. This whole video, all we've talked about is how he feels. How is he feeling about you? Does he want to break up with you? Like, where does he stand? How does he feel? How do you feel? Do you feel this truly is the right man for you? If you do, why? Why do you think that? And why do you think that he might be having doubts? What might be causing that? Take a moment to really recalibrate and get some clarity on how you feel and what you want and what you truly think is going on here. Number 5, end it. If you really think that this guy is done with you, he's over you, that this can't be fixed, Don't just wait around for him to break up with you. Just end it yourself and just close that chapter and move on to the next. If it can't be fixed, then what's the point of dragging this out? I hope this was helpful to you. If so, please tap that like button and leave a comment if you have any questions, any feedback. If there are any other like X-Back type videos you want me to create, let me know in the comment section. I read them all. I try to reply to everyone. And if you are going through a breakup or think you're about to be going through a breakup, then definitely check out our Easy X-Back system. You can get it at easyxback.com, and I will see you in the next video.